All right, let's just get this out of the way. The notion of pop punk, there's no such thing. Either it's pop or it's punk. They're two different things. Nothing wrong with being pop. Well, I'll just go with it. There's nothing wrong with being pop. And, punk is clearly punk. There is no pop punk. Just own what you are, bands. Okay? Hey there, vinyl community. My name's Tom. You're watching High Rant District. Today I want to talk about 6 records that I got from Don. They're all from Don Giovanni Records. It's a label out of New Jersey, I think out of New Brunswick. New Brunswick, I don't know. They kind of have they're really mostly a punk label. They've got a lot of female-fronted bands. Good stuff. They did a crowdfunding thing pretty recently. I forgot whether it was like Kickstarter or Indiegogo or GoFundMe, but they had different levels you could pledge, what have you. And what I ended up doing is I said, hey, here's $55. And for $55, they give you they'll send you 5 records, and in the United States, and that covers the shipping as well. So I'm like, yeah, sure. So thing gets funded, and they were doing this because they were moving warehouses from one state to another, and merchandise is expensive to move, so they figured they can get rid of a bunch of stuff this way. So I got a package in the mail earlier this week, and I've got for $55, you're supposed to get 5 records. I ended up getting 6. Whether it was a mistake or their generosity, I don't know. Most likely it was their generosity. I think they're a really great label. So anyway, I want to talk about the 6 records that I ended up getting, all from Don Giovanni Records, just, on the Don Giovanni label. And these are all first impressions. I've listened to each of these records once, so I haven't really lived with them. So my opinion may actually change on these. But first up, this is by an artist named Laura Stevenson, and the album is called Wheel. This came out in 2013. Here's the back side of it. And it was weird, it's like, this label, Don Giovanni Records, is a punk label, for all intents and purposes. I put it on as like this light acoustic guitar, and then strumming acoustic guitar, and then soft voice coming on, and it's kind of like folky. And I was like, what in the world did Don Giovanni Records send me? It's if you look on Discogs, it says like pop, folk, world, country, and all those things are probably correct. Oh, it comes with a insert too. The insert just is a kind of folds open here to the lyrics. Here's the back side. These are all on black vinyl. That's what the label looks like. I also kind of dig that it's not like a stock standard label for Don Giovanni Records. It's really different for each artist and each album. But what in the world is going on with this record? What did Don Giovanni sent me? But it grew on me. There was a sweetness to it. It had power, had energy. It's a great sounding record. It really, really sounds strong. It's good. It's got the music has a lot of life. There's just like maybe just like a teeny bit of Ani DeFranco in there, both stylistically and attitude-wise, but just a little bit. It's good. It's sweet, strong, powerful. I don't usually dig folk-ish type music, but that grabbed me. It's a good album, and I'm glad I have it. It's Keeper. Next up, Nuclear Santaclaus, or Klaust. This is from February of 2013. There's a flip side. It's kind of, it's punk, a little bit of garage in there. This is a band that I think they're all from Cleveland anyway, Cleveland, Ohio, and they moved to Brooklyn. And most of these bands are, when Don Giovanni put them out, are Brooklyn, reside in Brooklyn. So they all moved from Cleveland to Brooklyn. Good record. Punk, garage, simple and straightforward. I don't know if they're together anymore. It's Nuclear Santaclaus or Claus. It's got lyrics in here, kind of tough to read, but I dig the artwork. And here's the front side of the insert. Don't know what that means. And very plain kind of label. But again, each label is different. It's not really like a Don Giovanni signature label. And it's good stuff. Punk, garage. I like it. I dig it. This is a keeper. Storm Shadow is the next one. Shadow Play. Or rather, Shadow Play. Storm Shadow, Set on Destroy is the name of the album. Backside, big old kind of fossilized skull. This came out in February of 2013. It's got another one of those fold open inserts. That's what the one side looks like, and lyrics, credits on the inside. And here's a look at the label. This is the B side. It's called side dos. The other flip side is side uno. 16 songs, all kind of short. It's a mixture of like hardcore punk. It's a mixture of hardcore and that genre I don't believe in. So I'll call it like kind of like bratty pop, I guess is what I would call it. But it works. They were a short-lived band from I believe from Brunswick or New Brunswick, New Jersey. And I think one of the stories that when Don Giovanni Records came together, one of the things was they wanted to put this album out. Although it came out in 2013, the music is pretty much from the early 2000s. And I think it was only previously on CDRs that the band sold at a show. So it's the band's not around anymore. Like any good punk, it's got political lyrics. So it's good stuff. I like it a lot. It is also a keeper. Fourth record I'm going to show. Where is it? Castle Talk is the title of the album. This is from Screaming Females. Take a look at the backside. When you place your crowdfunding order, as it were, they put a place for you can mention records that you have from them, and but you don't really get to choose the records. So, but I mentioned that I have Power Move, an early album by Screaming Females, and also Downtown Boys, their first album. I believe it came out earlier this year, if not late last year. So, Screaming Females, Castle Talk. Although it doesn't say it anywhere on the album, the artwork on this thing, which I totally dig, is signature Marissa Paternoster. She's the lead singer of the band, lead guitarist. If you're ever wondering what a rock star looks like, acts like, sounds like, plays like, Marissa Paternoster. It's got a heavy-duty inner sleeve. Again, artwork that can only be by Marissa. And there's a look at the label. It's also got a bit of her artwork on there. It's the guitar work. If you've heard Marissa Paternoster, it's fantastic. It's a punk album. She's got a voice that can be difficult to listen to. If you don't dig it, you're either going to find it very interesting or enjoyable, or you're going to just absolutely hate her voice. I really dig it. It's different. It's really, really, it grabs me. It's got a vibrato to it. Like you're talking to a fan sometimes. but it works. And the first album I had, Power Move, from a few years back by Screaming Females, was more raw sounding. This is maybe a little bit more polished. And polished is really the wrong word, because the earlier stuff was a lot more raw vocally. But it's a great album. I highly recommend it. Good stuff. Good stuff. Fifth album out of 6. This is Birds of Paradise. Birds is BYRDS. Birds of Paradise. And this is called Teenage Symphonies. Here's the backside. This is from 2011. This was a weird album when I flipped it on. I put it on last night. Then I got 2 different stereo systems in the house that I play records on. And so, I went upstairs and I put this on, and I thought either a capacitor had blown inside the amplifier or a speaker had blown. It was very, very fuzzy. I immediately got up and I dropped the needle on the second song, and I kind of got the same sound. I'm like, what in the world? And so I came with the download code, so I did the download, and then I checked out the download to the digital version. And it's the same thing. I'm like, all right, well, at least, stereo's not messed up. So it's very very fuzzy guitar. This is a band that is no more. I believe they're from DC. I was like, to begin with, I thought, my initial reaction when the record started was negative. It was very fuzzy, like kind of crackly. The vocals kind of like sit back behind, the guitars are kind of out here. But it grew on me very quickly. And again, this is just on one spin. I ended up digging the album a lot. There was a song, let's see, the insert, fold open, it's kind of a poster, nothing on the backside, and simple gray label, Birds of Paradise. So it grew on me really quickly. I really enjoyed it, and it was kind of weird. The second track, I can't remember what the name of the song is. Actually, let me find it here. Broadcast News. This is another weird thing. It's like at the very end of the song, I said this was kind of like, I thought maybe something was wrong with my receiver. At the end of the second song, kind of as it's fading out, there's a bit of like the Talking Heads. There's a song by the Talking Heads kind of on there. I'm like, what in the world? Like, did they like press this like on top of a Talking Heads album, or was the radio on in the studio or something? It's kind of funny. But it has to be intentional. So that was a surprise. And it was, again, I was like, man, let me check the download on this, and yeah, it's there. So kind of hilarious, but I dig this album. This last album, when they asked what, on the online forum, when you're telling them what albums you have, just so they try not to send you any duplicates, I mentioned that I wouldn't mind having the new Warriors album, and good people, they slid it in there for me. It's Imaginary Life by the Warriors. This came out this summer in 2015. Here's the backside. I would have bought this anyway. It's got, nothing on the flip side, but it's got an insert. It's a lyric sheet. And there's the label. This album was produced by Laura Jane Grace of Against Me, which made me go, yeah, this is probably something I want to listen to. This is the one album that I actually requested. Everything was just blind. The other previous 5 albums, totally blind to me. The lyrics in a lot of the Warriors, like a lot of good punk, is political. And I say punk. I know that album's advertised as punk, but it's really, I wouldn't consider it punk. Lyrically, maybe, but the presentation, the music, it's a little glossier. It's really indie rock that's very, very good. There's kind of like maybe a flatness to the sound. It's not a recording issue, just the way the band sounds on this album that surprised me a little bit. I'm going to need to give this a few more spins. I like it, but this was the album that I really wanted, and oddly enough, the other 5 records, and these are just first impressions, were a lot stronger. I dug them all. But so it's kind of funny that like I bought 5 records. I got 6 out of 6 records, 5 of which were blind to me. I didn't know it was coming. I didn't know what I was getting. I dig them all. These are all keepers. Don Giovanni Records does some great stuff. I'll tell you, like when I buy a new release, my habits are that I'll like listen to a minute or so of a song or two on an album that's new music, and I'll decide whether or not to buy from that. And out of like 6 records that I would normally buy in a month and a half, whatever, that's new music, usually maybe 4 of them are albums that I'll decide I want to keep, and the other 2 I'm like, I didn't make a good call. So like when I'm deciding for myself, I'm probably like 60 or 70% success rate on what I like. And Don Giovanni sent me 6 records, one of which I hoped for, the others I didn't ask for. I didn't know it was coming. 6 out of 6, 100%. Do take a look at. It's like just DonGiovanniRecords.com is their website. They're worth looking at. I dig their stuff. Their albums, even when they weren't doing this crowdfunding thing, are very, very reasonably priced. I enjoy them a lot. They deserve your support. If you like punk, take a look at them. Anyway, enough babbling. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon. Cheers.